class in the fourth chapter, especially the first shloka, where the parampara was mentioned. Parampara, as we had discussed, is that lineage, the unbroken lineage of spiritual teachings passed on. It is not like a physical human lineage, but from the teacher to the student, and that student then is the teacher and passes on to his students or her students, and it goes on like that. So first, just we should kind of have proper understanding of that ancient tradition. What is that parampara? So if we don't have, sometimes proper understanding, we will just think it is some kind of a, religious thing, and we will not be able to appreciate it. How can I better appreciate the preservation of such teaching of rishis and teachers who have committed their lives to this? So this is the sacred thing of parampara, and the more we can have that sense of reverence and gratitude, we ourselves will get more benefit, that ability. There are some places, there's a teacher, we sometimes project the first teacher as Dakshinamurti. So he is the Lord who manifested as the Guru, the first Guru. And how did he project the teachings? He projected Maunam Vyakya Prakatita, Parabrahma Tattva Yuvanam. So in silence, he is able to transmit that wisdom. So in reality, many teachings are in silence in a way, meaning it is not it's non-verbal communication. So this is why, the appreciation of the parampara, the traditions, and knowing that it comes from the Lord himself helps us to have that receptivity to receive that non-verbal teachings. What are the benefits I see in my life or can hope to see by embracing these teachings? So this is the Gita itself, so this is the Lord is actually here praising the Gita itself. The teachings of Gita is very sacred and are transformative. So this is what, that our Mananam book is an effort to try to constantly bring us to this. When we ask these questions, we can think, what can I expect to change? Or how can I expect to transform with the help of these teachings? See, the change happens in different ways. Not all change can be a progressive upward spiritual change. So this is what the Gita and the scriptures help us. It helps us in this evolution, spiritual evolution. Okay, all right. And, now look at the fourth chapter. So as we all know, we are doing the fourth chapter. So what is the name of the chapter? What did we say last time?
Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga.
Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So one other point, some of you had asked that question. See, the word karma sannyasa is very often used in Vedanta. So here this is used in that sense. Karma sannyasa is a way to explain how a person who is living in his life, going through the thing, without taking a formal sannyasa, yet can mentally surrender or give all the results, all the works, can renounce that attachment to results and that attachment to doership. So this is a karma sannyasa, and this is the essence of sannyasa. And because this karma sannyasa is not, people are not able to visualize this, Shankaracharya established this tradition of formal sannyasa, where even the outward works for the sake of benefit, for the sake of result, that also is renounced by sannyasis. So that way the sannyasis are an outward representation of what inwardly everybody is supposed to follow. So, and that is represented by karma sannyasa. So that is why this chapter will talk about that, and especially, as I mentioned, that ability to do away with doership, the ability to free ourselves from that sense of ego. That comes through knowledge. And then later on, it's like Jnanagni Sarva Karmani Bhasmasat Kurute Arjuna. The fire of knowledge will burn all karmas, all the works, all that things that we are bound to. So that will come in the later thing. So this is why it is called Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Through knowledge, the all works will come to end, meaning all works and its results. See, by work itself, there's no problem. So this is why, just work itself is not, we are not told to let go of work. The important thing is to let go of the attachment to the results. Work follows results. So every work we do, there is a accompanying result, and that is what causes bondage. So, so when there is knowledge, when there's proper knowledge, then then that work will not bind us. Okay. All right. So now today we are looking at some important shlokas which will bring to us some very important concepts, concepts that are used to explain many teachings which will come in many of these darshanas, yoga, Vedanta, Shad darshanas and all that. They use these several concepts. And this is the concept of karma, karma and um, how karma will create this punarjanma, how we are bound by karma, and the effects of karma will create a life after life for us, reincarnation, and how the Lord is free from that. That is the role of an avatara. The difference between our birth and the Lord's birth. Our birth is because of karma, our past karma. So now this is it's very important to understand how some of us may not fully believe in reincarnation. We may know, even those who are born here in India and all that, they may not fully appreciate the reincarnation. It is okay if we don't believe in it, but it is a very useful working methodology. It is one of the best explanations to the functioning of the world on why there is suffering, why one person is unequal to another, meaning in terms of the circumstances, what they get. Why do some people have greater abilities in certain areas? Why is there this some people having talent and some people having wrong samskaras, all this, and the big question, especially in the Western world, why is there evil? This is a big question, right? Why is there evil? Why doesn't God stop evil? So these are questions, big philosophical discussions are there. So this, many of these points, we can get a very practical answers to that. So let us first look at the shlokas and then. Okay. All right. Now, oh, sorry, we are later thing. Okay. So we can start with these shlokas. Shloka number 4 onwards. So you may please repeat after me. Arjuna Vacha.
Arjuna
उवाच
Uvacha
Aparam bhavato janma
Aparam
अपरं
Bhavato
भवतो
Janma
जन्म
paranjanma vivasvataha
Param
विवस्वतः
katame tadvijaniyan
Katame
एतद्विजानीयाम्
vamadhau proktavaniti.
त्वमादौ
वाणी
प्रोपनिति
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
बहूनि मे व्यतीतानि
बहूनि
बहूनि मे व्यतीतानि
जन्मानि तव चार्जुन
जन्मानि तव चार्जुन
तान्यहं वेद सर्वाणि
तान्यहं
तान्यहं
वेद सर्वाणि
न त्वं वेत्त परन्तप
न त्वं वेत्थ परन्तप
अजोऽपि सन्नव्ययात्मा
अजोऽपि सन्नव्ययात्मा
भूतानामीश्वरोऽपि सन्
भूतानामीश्वरोऽपि सन्
प्रकृतिं स्वामधिष्ठाय
प्रकृतिं स्वामधिष्ठाय
सम्भवाम्यात्ममायया
सम्भवाममायया
We'll do this also. Yada yada hi dharmasya
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य
ग्लानिर्भवति भारत
ग्लानिर्भवति भारत
अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य
अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य
तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्
तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्
परित्राणाय साधूनां
परित्राणाय साधूनां
विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम्
विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम्
धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय
धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय
संभवामि युगे युगे
सम्भवामि
These two shlokas are very popular, especially in India, because of one of the television serial. Everybody, many of those from my time we grew up with. So anyway, Arjuna Uvacha. So now, after that, what Lord had told, where he said that this yoga, this supreme yoga, and this avyaya yoga, he also mentioned the word avyaya, which means this imperishable yoga. So we can take different ways. One, he's talking of karma yoga, that science of karma yoga through which you can work but not be bound by actions. Meaning that work that you do will not bind you. That kind of that science, that art of working. That is avyaya. It is an imperishable science. It is not like that like some technology, like some computers. They'll be there sometime, and then their higher kind of computers will come. It will not be there, or some gadgets. They'll be there sometime, and then it will not be there as there's progress. No, this is an imperishable one. And it was told to you because you have that sense of devotion. You are my friend. That you generally like people like to share things with those who are like who they trust, who they feel are deserving. So like that, similarly, he says, Bhaktosi me sakhacha iti rahasyam hetaduttamam. This secret science I told you. Now, Arjuna is a very practical question. And this is a question that, everybody might come. When you say things like this, sometimes people say, like, these are too, like, you're talking more in like abstruse ways, very theoretical way, very mystical ways. Actually, that's a better word. Sometimes some statements, especially in the yoga thing, when people talk, they say it is all mystical. I don't understand now what it is. How does it make sense? So similarly, Arjuna asks a very practical questions. Aparam bhavato janma. your birth was around the same time that we were born, right? It is in the we are kind of contemporaries, or we are at the same time. Now. But the Param Janma Vivaswataha, that Vivaswan, that sun god, at the beginning of creation, that had come. That sun, Vivaswan, had come at the beginning of creation. Katham etad vijaniyam. How can I understand that? How can I justify this? What is the logic? If you take a linear progression of time, it makes no sense that you were born you could give the teaching to the sun god when you were born at this time and the sun was born much before you. Huh? How proktavaniti, huh? How can how can I make sense of this? So in fact, here many of the acharyas says, so it is not that Arjuna didn't know about Krishna's divine nature. So one way Shankaracharya justifies it. He says is this is a question he wanted to articulate for just so the Lord can affirm that he is a divine, he is that supreme being. That is one thing. And the other thing is for the welfare of others. Sometimes, when there is an interviewer who is interviewing, they will actually know a lot of things. Like when, some people come to talk to my teachers or me, or sometimes, right? They have a lot of understanding already, but yet for the audience, they will ask questions. So sometimes, some questions of Arjuna can also be on those lines because he probably senses that. That is one way why he's asking that. Now the Lord explains, and here he explains this concept of who is an avatar and how is he different from a normal being. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna. So you and me, O Arjuna, we have gone through many births. So this is the concept of reincarnation. You are born, you live for a while, you die, and based on your deeds, the good and bad deeds you have done, you'll be born again. And in that life, you will carry what is called as prarabdha karma, a certain stock of karma. So this probably I'm hoping that most of you are familiar with. There is this concept called as sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, agami karma. So these are the different karmic things that is explained. Sanchita karma is a total storage of all our karma in all our lifetimes that we have accumulated. Prarabdha karma is that for this lifetime. That so much out of that, like if you have if you have a big box of 10 books, and out of that you take 2 books and you keep it in a separate box. So that 2 books is so much you take with you on your journey wherever you're going. But you have the 10 books with you. So not the best example, but something on those lines. And then whatever you accumulate there on the travel, you buy different things, you accumulate different things. That adds on to your suitcase, and you come back and you put it back at your home. So that becomes the agami, that which you accumulate in this life and which is experienced in future lives. So this is what the Lord is now saying, that you and I have gone through many births. Life after life, we are born again. Then we have come back. But there is a difference. What is the difference? I know them all, but you don't know of them. So there is a fundamental difference between the birth of the Lord and the birth of human beings. An avatara purusha. Avatara means a divine incarnation, a divine manifestation. That person chooses to be born at their will. They are not born because of karma. Most human beings, almost all human beings, they are born because of their past karma. So this is the fundamental philosophy of karma, that all the most darshanas accept this. Even Nastika darshanas, many of them accept this fundamental thing of karma, because This is one of the best justification that why is it that somebody is born in a handicapped way, somebody is born with a lot of privileges, somebody has some talents, another person doesn't have so many talents. So this thinks, that that's a fundamental difference is that each one, according to our karma, we take birth, we go through certain circumstances, and that lifespan, according to Yoga Sutra, even the lifespan when we will die, that is determined from that basis of karma. Now we may say that, okay, I don't still have a proper kind of belief that that is karma. But we can see that whatever we do, these actions we do, it leaves a certain impressions in us. And that impression will make us act accordingly. So if we are actually, for example, if you're going to some store, you want to buy certain things in that store. Now the reason you buy certain things in that store is because you have a certain inclination towards those things. So similarly in our life, we have certain experiences we go through, and these experiences that we go through, it is based on our samskaras accumulated either in this life or in the previous life. So now what has happened is as we go through this experiences, the next life, we don't remember the actual circumstances of those experiences. So, for example, this life, somebody is born in America, and that person, or let's say some other country, some Spanish-speaking country, they know to speak Spanish. Then they come back in another life, and then they're born maybe in, some Asian country where they speak on the Chinese or some other language. There you will not remember that Spanish thing. But the impressions, the tendencies you have will still be there. So if you had a lot of inclination towards some kind of spicy food or something, so even in some kind of thing, that is some inclination like that will be there. That is a very crude example. But more importantly, like if somebody was a artist in previous life, they will not remember all the songs they sang, but they will have that artistic tendencies in this life. And not just that, that is at the mental level. There is also the karmic thing. If somebody had done a lot of good deeds, of course it depends on the stock of prarabdha they bring in that specific life. It doesn't always mean that somebody is suffering, meaning that they've not done any good in their life. In this life they chose, or it was chosen, that they will undergo certain experiences, and those experiences may not be the result of all the good deeds they did. So but they may not bring the results of good deeds in a specific life also. Partly because sometimes, evolved souls, they want to go through that suffering fast and be done with it. And also, suffering, as we know, is a prod for spiritual growth. For a wiser person, for an evolved soul, suffering is a means for asking questions, inquiring, and under trying to uncover the reality, the deeper reality. So there are a lot of such reasons are there. So that is what the Lord is saying. I remember my birth, I remember all my births, but you don't remember. Now here there is a technical difference. There is also some yogis who remember their birth. Some sages, like Buddha says, when he got enlightened, he remembers all the birth that he had gone through. He says all. Then there is all the stories narrated about all his previous births. Many yogis. There is a famous Kashmiri saint, a woman, a lady saint. So she says that when she got that realization, she remembered that she was born in the previous life of previous Brahma, meaning there's a kalpa, that eons had passed. So she says, I remembered from that time I was born. So this also yogis also will get. But here that is not what is the Lord is talking. The Lord is saying this because we will see the next things. He has what is called as Jnana Shakti. So there are Prakriti, which we say, right? Prakriti has three kinds of Shaktis, meaning powers. Three kinds of fundamental powers in the Prakriti is there. So these are called as Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Ichcha Shakti. So these are very often mentioned. Jnana Shakti is this power of knowledge, meaning the knowledge of everything and the fundamental knowledge at the individual level, but the ultimate knowledge. Then there is Kriya Shakti. The Kriya Shakti is the power to act, power to fulfill anything. So at individual level also we have that. For example, if I know some program, then that program is the Jnana Shakti, that knowledge I have will empower me to execute something using that program. Uh, like a car, somebody is driving the car. So if they know about the car and all that, then they can execute that actions, that steering wheel, and turning the steering wheel, they know the whole car will move. So like that, that is a Kriya Shakti. And then there is Ichcha Shakti. Ichcha Shakti is that the desire should come. Sometimes Ichcha Shakti and Kriya Shakti are used as the same thing, but sometimes different. Ichcha Shakti is that intention. What we call sometimes as Sankalpa is also Ichcha Shakti. But sometimes this is also based on our vasanas. We can have Ichcha Shakti. So this, the Lord says, I remember them all, but you don't. Now this is a very important shloka in terms of understanding the concepts here. Ajopi san navyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san. Ajopi, I was never born. The reality of me is I'm unborn. We say ajatavada in that sense. Aja means unborn, never born. Son, avyayatma, imperishable, avyaya. It is like ever indestructible. The essence of me, that the true nature of me, the true nature of all of us in that sense, is ajaha, it is avyaya. Bhutanam Ishwaropi San, and the Lord of everyone. At the fundamental level, He is a Lord of everyone. So this is what we call, these are words. It is good. Those of you who want to, you should make some notes because we will discuss this again and again. This is the nature of Saguna Brahma. What we call as Ishvara here is the Saguna Brahma. So now I'll just mention some things, and maybe sometime next class I will try to list these things. So as we know, there are three levels of realities that is usually being discussed. So this is from a Vedantic perspective, that is what is called as the Paramarthika Satta, the ultimate reality. The ultimate reality is what? The ultimate reality is that one where there is only that pure Nirguna Nirakara Brahma. That pure consciousness, that one consciousness, which is not divided as you, me, Lord, and everybody. It is that one underlying consciousness. That is a Nirguna Brahma, we say. Now, when that unconditioned, attributeless consciousness mixes with Maya or Prakriti, then it becomes what is called as Saguna Brahma. It remains that pure consciousness becomes a form or a attribute or a personal kind of thing. And here the personal meaning, here we are talking that personal as Krishna, but it can be any form that we can think of, or formless also. It can, but it is a kind of a manifestation. It has manifested that unconditioned is now conditioned. Conditioned by what? Conditioned by Maya or Prakriti. So we say of Ishvara, what is Ishvara? The definition for Ishvara is Mayopadi, Maya Upadi Ishvara. So that Ishvara has an Upadi. all of us have upadhi, meaning an adjunct, a limiting adjunct, a defining element. Yeah. Our defining element is our body and mind, mostly. So I am restricted by my body and mind and all that storage of things, karma, that the body and that mind is stuck with sukshma level. So that stula and sukshma, that gross and subtle, these are my limiting adjuncts by which I as an individual has been, that pure consciousness is limited by this. Now, the Lord also is limited in a conscious way, not in a unconscious way like us. By what? By Maya. Huh? So, the Maya, we will discuss what is Maya, but the fundamental aspect of Maya. So, in Gita now, this concept of Maya is expanded extensively by Shankaracharya. So he was one of the first ones to really use this word of Maya and give a very elaborate and extensive definition of Maya. So basically, Maya is in this context the force of Prakriti, what we call as nature. What is Prakriti sustained by? So the Prakriti, as we know, is that the Trigunatmika. The three gunas are functioning in the Prakriti and they make the nature ever changing, ever evolving, upward or downward. Prakriti is always changing upward or downward. So here the definition for the fundamental definition the Lord gives, I mean the Shankaracharya gives for Maya is Yasya vashe sarvam jagat vartate yaya mohitam sat swatmatmanam vasudevam na janati. By which this whole world, meaning all, everybody, all individual conscious entities, everybody is caught up, meaning everyone in this is deluded. The whole world comes under the spell, vashe. It's like an illusory spell, a magic spell that has been cast on everybody. And this whole, but what does it do? Mohitam, it deludes you. How does it delude you? Swatmanam Vasudevam na janati. We forget our own self as this divine being, that Vasudeva. So we forget that the essence of Lord is our own self. So one is we forget the true essence of who we are, that what is the true nature of ourselves, we forget. Then if we just remember that I'm the consciousness, that is not, we are not yet out. This is why, sometimes that some people say, just asking that question, who am I, can give you an idea of that pure witness. But Vedanta wants us to go a step further and realize that that witnessing consciousness is this one supreme consciousness, Vasudevam. So that is what Shankaracharya says. And of course, there are other versions of this where they say, Maya is a real thing, meaning Maya is what has makes everybody into an individual entities, and the Lord himself divided him into all these people, all these individuals who are part of them, and this nature, he created conscious entities and unconscious entities using the power of Maya. This is another explanation that mostly Ramanuja, Madhva, and all that take, other acharyas. Meaning that the God is the real, this world is real, but divided into conscious and unconscious entities. The conscious entities are all these living beings, unconscious entities are all these products. But Maya as such is as only real, proper definition when we understand from the Advaita concept, we realize that essence of Maya is something like an illusion that makes us feel this is real. How? Like a dream. The best example is like a dream. When you're having a dream, you think that, oh, all this is going on, all that is happening. So in that dream, it is all real, right? And you are experiencing all these things, it is going on. But when you wake up from that dream, you realize it was not real. So as long as we are in this Maya, we think it is real. And that is the fundamental difference between us and the Lord. Lord incarnates as an avatar, and it seems like he's incarnating in the body. Because in order to have a body, you need karma, right? You need the past karma, and that karma will design that body for you. So all our body, mind, and all that, this is a product of our karma in a way. Vasanas, karma, and all that. And when we get this body and all that, we are bound by this. But the Lord is, in case of Lord, it is not like that. It appears like that. That is what the next line in that shloka he says. Prakritim swamadishtaya sambhavami atmamayaya. Prakritim swamadishtaya. I take the prakriti, meaning the nature of these three gunas and these things, the forces, through has the basis for my own birth. So this birth that through that Maya has come, and I am born through my own Maya, Atma Maya, meaning I am the one who controls this Maya, and I actually am taking birth in it. So it is something like if there was a magician, and a magician creates like an illusory castle. And inside that castle, he himself walks into that castle. So and he knows very well it is an illusion. And so he's able to walk within, knowing it is all an illusion. So he will not like hit his head against a wall or something, right? But for everybody else, it seems real. There is that real experience. So now the all other beings who don't know this is a magic, this is an illusion, for them all this seems real. Hmm? So this is one of the fundamental difference, and the other one is what I was trying to tell you. There are three levels of reality. For explanation's sakes, Vedanta says there are three levels of reality. One is ultimate reality, where every one of us is nirguna, or that we are in that state of unconditional, one undivided consciousness, that pure essence. This is in that paramarthika. But in a vyavaharika, there is an empirical reality. Vyavaharika satta. So in this empirical reality, what is happening? There is a shared experience. We all experience this world together. This class happening at the same time, attended by so many of you. It is all like a real thing that all of us can say this is happening. huh? So this is a vyavaharika reality, and like what we say, an empirical. So in this level, there is a creator and a created. So meaning there is this creation has come about, and there is a being, or there is a force that has brought about this creation to happen. So that explanation of the God, of the Lord and the creator, sustainer, destroyer, and all the created beings is happening at this empirical level. So this relative shared reality. And then there is what is called as a pratibhasika satta. Pratibhasika satta means each one of us have our own thoughts. Even the same class, each of us understand differently. Each of us have different levels of understanding and experiences of life. Some experience somebody, if like the famous example of a rope and snake. Where there is a rope, somebody may mistake it as a snake. Somebody else may say there is a rope. So this is a mind created subjective reality, which is called as pratibhasika satta. Now, the fundamental thing is for the Lord, in reality, from the realized person, what is the goal of life is for all of us to wake up to this paramarthika satta, that ultimate reality. So that same reality that the God realizes, but he realizes that there is a empirical reality I have created by my own power of Maya. Similarly, a realized being comes to that realization. Then what happens? This is where Vedanta says, then even the Vyavaharika becomes like a Pratibhasika. Meaning this world itself, you realize, is an imagined reality. So this is a where, where that there are only, some people say there are only two realities. So Vedanta also has different ways of teaching. One way of teaching is where, especially some specific aspect of Vedanta and Buddhist schools and all that, Ramana Maharshi and all that, they all say like this, that there is no such thing as God, there is no creator, there is no Saguna Brahma. Why? Because everything is based on your illusion. Why do you need to take to that thing of God at all? You just wake up from that ignorance, and that Maya is gone for you. So why? Because here the explanation is, what is Maya? Is Maya has in the relative sense two powers. What are these two powers? One is called as the Avarana Shakti. So these are all concepts. All Vedanta is covering in this. Meaning this is the where the Saguna Brahma, the relative Vyavaharic thing has been accepted. We accept that there is a relative reality. And then we give all these definitions. Why did this Maya come about? So the power of Maya is, first, it concealed the truth of yourself from you. That's called Avarana Shakti, non-apprehension of reality. Some people call it like that, non-apprehension of reality. What this is a tamas aspect. It covers that truth from you, that you are that supreme consciousness, that you are the divine. And once that is covered, what happens? You get what is called as vikshepa shakti. Then the first is avarana shakti, and then the vikshepa shakti of mala. So this is misapprehension happens. Once you don't know who you are, you take yourself to be something else. And this is misapprehension. Non-comprehension of the true reality makes you come under the misapprehension of reality. When you don't know the reality of rope, you take that rope to be the snake. So this is the two fundamental things that happens. The first is that concealing, and the second is the wrong cognition. So this, what does this do? Is this gives us the sense that I am the doer, I am the sufferer, I am the enjoyer. So this is what we discussed, this karta bhokta bhavana. So when I have that sense I am a doer, then there is the doing of good, doing of bad, dharma, adharma, papa, punya, all that starts coming in. So the Lord doesn't have that sense of doership. The Lord doesn't have that sense of experiencership. So he is not also bound by punya papa, good and bad, virtue and sins, dharma, dharma. So this fundamental difference, this fundamental difference between the Lord is all happening. I mean, the Lord is also come into that Maya by His own will. We have come into that Maya because of our ignorance. So, in that sense, when we are in this ignorance, we will not know what Maya is. It is what is called as anirvachaniya. So sometimes, an example is given. A fish which is in the water doesn't know it is in the water. Why? Because it is surrounded by water. Similarly, we are in this Maya. And so, in this Maya, if we ask the question, what is Maya? It is not describable, because what is a relative explanation that can be given out for you? You are already in the water, you are kind of swimming in that water. Similarly, this whole samsara is like that. So, that is why if you ask for too many definitions, then the answer given is it is indescribable. So in one way it is not described, but yet it is explained like this, that it has avarana shakti and it has vikshepa shakti, the power of concealment and the power of projection. And the Lord, in this context, in relation to the Maya, then only a proper definition is given for who the Lord is. So that is why it says Mayopadika, Mayopadika, Ishvara. So Ishvara is explained as one who has the upadhi of of Maya. So this thing, in this context, what happens, that Ishvara's birth, that aspect of him taking birth, is only from Vyavahara. It is said he's taking birth, but in reality, the Lord never takes any birth. He's still there in that pure essence, just as it is. But when you read some Puranas and all that, they, like Puranas are the stories and all that. So there it is projected in a different way. So sometimes they say that, when the Lord incarnates, he's no longer in Vaikuntha. Why? Because he's gone to earth. So these are all just ways of the stories. But in reality, the Lord is in that pure form only. So he's not, just because he takes birth. So it is just like saying, this person is no longer here because he's gone to dreams. He's dreaming. Huh? So you are still there very, very much, right? As much as they're lying there. Uh, so just because you're experiencing the dream world, your body is very much here. So, but that is not also the case there. He's as much alive, as much awake when that birth has happened. So this birth of the Lord is explained in many ways, many forms he is supposed to have taken. And again, we say here so many forms, but any form you conceive of the Lord that gives you this wisdom, this knowledge, you can take that form or that attribute, that formless. So here the Dashavatara is a famous one. In our thing, there's Dasha Avatara, 10 avatars of Lord are acknowledged. Some say there is 24 avatars, and some say there are many more avatars of many ways. Some are partial avatars, some are Purna avatars. So all that discussion is there. But we can take any form, any attribute of the Lord, and that has the incarnation, the divine thing, for that aspect of us to evoke that power, protection, grace of the Lord, which we will discuss in the next class of this beautiful shloka. How and when the God manifests in our life and for the sake of humanity. Yada yada hi dharmasya. When the prayers of all human beings, or even one human being, is strong, then the Lord incarnates in a form, tangible, manifested form. Um, We don't even have to say human form, because the Lord can manifest in animal forms also. So all these are the ways that, this is a very, there are a lot of definitions packed in this and a lot of unpacking to do with the shloka, especially when the word Maya comes. That word Maya is a very definitive thing. Now, just from the context of other darshanas, sometimes they don't take as Maya, they take it as Prakriti. Like Sankhya Darshana, Sankhya Darshana and Yoga Darshana. They take it as Prakriti. So they don't accept that Prakriti is subservient to Purusha. They have the equal status there. So that is again more from Vedanta, that is from a Vyavaharika, we can say that Prakriti is strong. But in reality, it doesn't. So there are different ways. So Prakriti, in the Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord will say many times Prakriti. Prakriti, when he is talking of a more tangible manifestation. And whenever he uses the Maya, the word Maya, he's talking about how it is a elusive aspect. Mama Maya Duratyaya, he says. My illusion is hard to cross, he says sometimes. Why? And then how do we do it? You have to take refuge in the Lord, then only you can cross. So all that will come later. Okay, any questions? Anything people want to ask?
Swami, I have a question.
Yeah.
For example, as an incarnation,
Yeah.
can we, when we go further with our studies and the mind is completely clear or purified,
Yes.
can we really have this perspective of Brahman? Can we, as a person, have this? I cannot express myself.
Yeah.
if we
So
can realize Brahma, or the mind will never realize it because it's
huh,
too.
correct. So this is the goal, of the studies, is that there is this concept called Jivan Mukti, where in this life we become free. So what is that freedom? There is that freedom from the mind, freedom from the all that wrong apprehensions of the mind. So, in that sense, a Jivan Mukta in his realization is the same as an avatara. A person who, because he's freed from that bondage of life. But from the actual aspect, we differentiate between an avatara and even a Siddha or realized Purusha. There's a little difference. But the question is, yes, we can realize that Brahman. That is the goal of all of our study, sadhana, and all that. We can and we should. That is what the sadhana is telling us. And how do we do this? That mind slowly has to purify itself and come to this aspect of right understanding, that right realization. And when you are able to hold to that right realization, then you are free from that bondage of karma, because you don't see what is right realization. What is this right understanding is that not having this sense that I am the karta and bhokta. I am the doer and sufferer. When you're free from this, that I am the experiencer, I am the sufferer, then you have that same status as Brahman. So you're not bound in the karma anymore.
But with a form, with a body, because Brahma cannot have a form or a body. Huh? You know what I
No, no,
mean?
that is
Krishna,
what
for
we,
example, you said Ishwara. You didn't say Brahma.
yeah, Ishvara,
That's
yeah.
Ishwara Upadi. Huh?
Yes, yeah. No, here we are saying Krishna is that Ishvara who has a form, who has a body. But it is not the body in the sense of body that we relate to, because that body is not created from his past karmas. Our body is created from the past karma. So when we realize what happened, when we come to that realization in this very life, we realize the body is not going to disintegrate, because the force of the karma will continue, but we will no longer be compelled to take rebirth, or we will also no longer be caught with our own mental projections that create problems for us.